Hi everyone. Today what I want to go over today is our driver setup. The driver is our lowest lofted club. So what we need to make sure to be able to hit it high and far is we have to do a few things in terms of our setup to make sure that we can do that consistently. So right off the bat, what we want to always make sure that we're doing with our driver is we're going to be having a little bit wider of a setup with our stance. So for example, the normal setup position is going to be kind of shoulder width apart with our feet. What we're going to want to make sure that we're doing with the driver is we're actually going to be widening out our stance just a little bit more. So this is going to give us a little bit wider a base. It's going to make sure that we can keep our balance a little bit better throughout the swing with the driver. So from there, what we're going to want to make sure that we're seeing is we're going to have the club or the ball set up on the inside of our front toe. So as you can kind of see, it's on the inside of my front toe right here, or it's going to be directly on line with my front heel, or the inside of my front heel. So the reason why we want to make sure that we're doing this is the more forward in our stance, the higher the ball is going to go in the air, and the more back in our stance, the lower the golf ball is going to go. And with the driver being our lowest lofted club that we hit off a tee or other than our putter, what we want to make sure that we're doing is we're always going to be putting it more in the front of our stance. So from there, what we're going to want to make sure that we're doing is we're not going to be having any type of shaft lean with the driver. The reason why we don't want to have any type of shaft lean is it's going to make it more slice bias right off the bat. And what we're going to be doing with this is we're also going to be delofting the driver even more. So again, we want to make sure that we can get that golf ball as high in the air as possible with this driver so we can have the maximum amount of carry distance. So with this, what we're generally going to want to see a little bit more of is, again, we're going to be on the inside of that left toe or our lead toe. And what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be kind of bringing this shaft back just a little bit more. So we're going to be kind of having this butt end, the grip kind of pointing towards our belly button right here. So the more that we move this shaft back, the more that this club is going to be, or the more loft we're going to have with this club, and the more direction that we're going to have going to the left. So just be careful with how much we go back with this. But again, when we move this back, we're going to be adding a little bit more loft with this. So we're going to be able to hit it in the air a little bit better. So from there, what we're going to want to make sure that we're doing with our stance is we're going to go ahead and lower our trail shoulder. So when we lower our trail shoulder, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going ahead and hitting a little bit more up on the golf ball to be able to get that golf ball in the air more effectively. So for example, lead shoulder, if I go ahead and do this a little bit more, the golf ball is going to go a little bit lower. The more that I do this, the higher the golf ball is generally going to go. But I would just go ahead and just do a couple of degrees. So if this is my normal stance right here with an iron, I'm just going to go ahead and just tilt my spine just a little bit more this way. So my right shoulder is just a little bit lower than my left shoulder. So from there, what we're going to want to make sure that we're doing with our pressure is we're going to apply a little bit more pressure to the ground with our right foot. So for example, for an iron shot, we're generally going to be a little bit more 50-50 with our pressure. With the driver, we're going to be putting a little bit more onto the back of our foot. So the more weight that more pressure that we put onto our back of our foot, the more up we're going to be hitting the golf ball. The more pressure that we go ahead and put on our lead foot, the more down the golf ball is going to go, or the lower it's going to go. So again, the things that we want to make sure that we're seeing is we're going to be going ahead, widening our stance to make sure that we have a better foundation. What we're going to make sure that we're doing is we're going to be having the ball or the club on the inside of our left big toe. We're going to have the butt end of the club pointing a little bit more back instead of forward. We're going to be tilting our trail shoulder just a little bit more to be able to get that golf ball up in the air. And then we're going to be putting a little bit more pressure onto our trail foot. right there. So those are going to be the main things that we're going to want to make sure that we're hitting the golf ball high. So the one other thing that we need to make sure that we're doing to make sure that we hit the driver a little bit better is we need to make sure that we have a little bit more rounded of a swing with the driver, because it's the longest club in our bag and we need more time to go ahead and get to that golf ball with our driver. So what we're going to want to make sure that we're seeing is when we're doing this, we're going to be kind of going a little bit more around our trail shoe with our hands, going a little bit more this way. So instead of moving straight up, we're going to be moving more around this way to make sure that we can get that golf ball up in the air better. So the more up we come this way, the lower it's generally going to go. The more around this way that we go with the driver, it's going to be easier for us to hit that golf ball up into the air.